Welcome back to the channel. We got week 6 Dom picks. I think my current record is at about like 47 and 34, 35-ish. Hopefully we can improve that this week. We got a ton of really good matchups to get into. Let's kick it off with an international game out in London. We have the Denver Broncos versus the New York Jets. The story in New York are the amount of miscues that this team continues to have. 8 turnovers, 42 penalties, 17 of them are pre-snaps. The Jets are the only team without a win this year, and the reason for that is because they continue to beat themselves. And this week is going to be a tough task going up against the Denver Broncos defense. I am looking forward to the matchup between Garrett Wilson and Patrick Surtain. In order for the Jets to pull off the upset, someone else besides Garrett Wilson is going to have to step up, because Patrick Surtain is the truth. He is the reigning, defending NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And if the other Jets receivers and tight ends can't find a way to get involved in the passing game, it's going to be a long day for Justin Fields in that offense. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos to win this game. The offense is starting to get into a groove, and going up against a Jets defense that has underperformed, I believe there's an opportunity for their offense to continue their momentum. Moving to the Seattle and Jacksonville game, the talk of the league right now is how good the Jags have looked. They've started off 4-1, and the big catalyst for that is that defense. They have a league-leading 14 takeaways, and that defense improved a little bit more, acquiring Greg Newsome in the trade late Wednesday night. I'm not entirely sure if he will be a full go in this game. The quarterback battle would be something to monitor as well. Darnold is throwing at a 73% completion rate. He has 9 touchdowns on the year with 3 interceptions and a lost fumble. And with Trevor Lawrence, he's throwing at a 60% completion rate, 6 touchdowns on the year. However, 5 interceptions and a lost fumble. With Trevor, and I've said this numerous times, we don't know what version of Trevor we're going to get. We don't know if we're going to get that generational talent version of him, or if we're going to get the guy who we all think got overpaid to some degree. Although Seattle's defense has looked pretty good, we're dealing with a ton of injuries. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's trying to come back for this game. We'll see if that materializes. And then in the secondary, we got Reek Wolin. He's in concussion protocol. Devin Witherspoon, Julian Love, they're both questionable going into this game. And Derek Hall, one of our linebackers, he's more than likely going to miss this game with an oblique injury. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. Right now, as a team, they're playing really well. And with Seattle hurting defensively, I believe Jacksonville will take full advantage of that. Cowboys at the Panthers. We already know with the Cowboys, they have one of the worst defensive units. And while looking at the stats, that defensive unit out in Carolina didn't really look too bad. However, in this game, they're going up against that Cowboys offense that is clicking right now. Dak is playing up to that $70 million tag. He's having an MVP caliber season, throwing at a 71% completion rate. He has 1,356 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And I know when it comes to Dak Prescott, we always have this criticism, and for good reason, because he still has to prove it in the postseason. But so far this year, he's looked very good. On the ground, you got Javonte Williams. Credit to him, because I think we wrote him off a little too soon. And credit to Jake Ferguson. He's done a great job of stepping up while CD's been out. Looking at the Panthers' perspective, part of the Cowboys' struggles on defense is having a bottom 10 run defense. And with Darnold coming off of a 200-plus game, there's another opportunity for him to have a big game here. But I'm going to stick with Dallas. Dak and that offense are playing very well right now. Browns at the Steelers. I'm looking forward to seeing Myles Garrett versus TJ Watt. Which one of those dominant pass rushers are going to have the most sacks in this game? I'm going to say Myles Garrett. With the Steelers offensive line going through some injuries right now, I believe Garrett is going to be able to take full advantage of that. However, to win this game, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. I trust that that defense will be able to make it difficult for Dylan Gabriel. Rams and Ravens, I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams. Offensively, the Ravens defense does not have an answer for Puka Nacua. And on the defensive side of the ball for the Rams, the Baltimore Ravens not having Lamar Jackson definitely makes it easier. However, we have to keep in mind King Henry, although he's been very dormant so far this year, he can explode at any time. As long as we make sure we keep him in control and we get after Cooper Rush, I believe it's probably going to be another BTA out in Baltimore. New England and New Orleans, I'm going to take the Patriots. I feel like they're coming off of the high of beating Buffalo on the road. That should carry over against a Saints team that, although has a top 10 passing defense, when they've gone up against a top 10 pass offense, they have struggled. The Chargers at the Dolphins, if there was ever a week where that Dolphins defense could get bullied, it would be this week. Chargers are dealing with so many injuries. Our offensive line is in shambles. Amari Hampton is going to be on IR for the next month or maybe 5 weeks, there's an opportunity for this Miami defense to get on track. However, I'm going to pick the Chargers. I wouldn't be surprised if this game is slightly closer, but I'm going to give the edge to Justin Herbert and the crew. Cardinals and Colts, Kyle Murray has already missed both Wednesday and Thursday practice, making his status for this game in jeopardy. If the Cardinals don't have him for this game, that's a huge loss for an offense that has underperformed as it is. That Colts defense is solid and they do a good job of getting takeaways. And because of that, I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts, the Cincinnati Bengals going on the road to take on the Green Bay Packers. The Bengals traded for Joe Flacco earlier in the week. In his 4 starts with the Cleveland Browns, he had a 58% completion rate, had 815 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and the key stats look out for: 6 interceptions. Looking at that Bengals offensive unit, that's an offense that is struggling to run the football. They're struggling to hold up at pass protection, giving up 15 sacks already in the year. Joe Flacco, in only 4 starts, was sacked 9 times. 2 of those times came against their opponent this week in the Green Bay Packers. Now, last time we saw this defense, they did get steamrolled by the Dallas Cowboys offense. I'm not sure if that's a cause for concern moving forward or if the Dallas Cowboys offense is just that legit. At that left tackle position, both the starter and the backup are dealing with injuries, and that's something to monitor on Sunday, because on the opposite side, you got Trey Hendrickson. For the Bengals to pull off an upset, they're going to need a great performance out of him. I'm taking the Green Bay Packers. They're coming off of a bye week where I believe everyone should be a little bit more healthier. In particular, Micah Parsons. We probably will see the best version of him so far. And for Cincinnati, I think for Joe Flacco, this is going to be an adjustment period. I think that Green Bay pass rush is going to make it difficult. Titans and the Raiders. This was a difficult game to predict because you got Geno Smith, the league leader in interceptions, and then you just have a young Titan squad. I'm going to take Las Vegas to win. I think for Geno, this is a get right opportunity, because if he doesn't, we might see a new starter at quarterback for the Raiders. San Fran and Tampa, is a real shame that both teams are dealing with injuries, especially for the Niners. They probably will be without Brock Purdy, Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, and if that is the case, it's going to be on Mac Jones to once again step up and lead this team. Now the kicker, and this has been the case for the Niners all season long, is that he was limited in practice as he's dealing with a knee injury and an oblique injury. I think he's going to be available for this game, but how compromised is he going to be? And will that be a detriment to the San Francisco 49ers offense? Because on the other side, they're going up against a really good offense. Baker Mayfield playing at an MVP level. Ibuka, undoubtedly offensive rookie of the year. It's going to be tough for that San Fran defense to slow them down, because even with all the injuries across the offensive line, no Mike Evans, no Bucky Irving, that offense is coming off a week where they threw 38 on one of the better defenses. I'm taking the Buccaneers. I didn't even get into the fact that their defense is pretty good. You can't really run the football on this team. They have Villa Vea in the middle, and I'm looking forward to that matchup because CMC has been excellent this year. They will give up some plays, but they will also make some plays themselves. Sunday Night Football, we got the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's look at the injuries surrounding that Detroit secondary. Both Terrion Arnold and Khalil Dorsey will miss this game. The safeties, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, they're a little banged up. I think more than likely they will be able to go for this game. This Detroit defense has been pretty good to start the year, but with all those injuries in the secondary, I think that could catch up to them in this game. The Kansas City Chiefs have a top 10 passing game, and since Xavier Worthy has returned to that lineup, the offense has looked even better. And for KC, they can't afford to start off the year 2-4. Which players are going to step up? We saw over the course of the week, there's a whole viral video of Chris Jones and the lack of effort he had on that game-winning touchdown for Trevor Lawrence. I think with all the noise, we see CJ get back to normal, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has one of those signature games. That being said, this is a tough Detroit Lions offense. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, one of the excellent 1-2 punches. St. Brown, one of the best wide receivers in the game. And this offense is capable of attacking you down the field with J-Mo. And I haven't even mentioned Sam Laporta, who is one of the best tight ends. All the signs point to the Chiefs losing this game. The Lions have won the last 4 games. And in those 4 games, they have scored over 30 points in all of them. However, I'm going to go a little bit with my gut here. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they will come out as a more desperate team because they need that signature win on the year. If KC can't take full advantage of a depleted secondary, I think we can scratch off their Super Bowl aspirations. And lastly, let's get into the doubleheader for Monday Night Football. First, we'll talk about the Buffalo Bills and the Atlanta Falcons. In that game, I'm looking at which team can run the football better. For Atlanta, they have the 6th best rushing attack led by Bijan. And then for Buffalo, they have the 2nd best running attack. However, defensively, the Bills have struggled to stop the run. Matt Milano, he re-aggravated a pec injury. Meanwhile, for Ed Oliver, he's questionable. He's probably the bigger piece they need back, especially when it comes to slowing down the run game. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. I'm just too concerned about that Atlanta offense. They have struggled to move the ball consistently, on top of the fact scoring in the red zone. I do, however, trust in Josh Allen and the crew to have their offense going and to make the plays to allow themselves to bounce back after a disappointing loss against the New England Patriots in primetime last week. Bears and the Commanders. This is going to be a fun matchup because we have the first 2 picks from a year ago. For Caleb Williams, I feel like people are kind of underestimating the growth we've seen from him so far this year. He's throwing at a 62% completion rate. He's thrown over 900 yards, has 8 touchdowns with only 2 interceptions. As an offensive unit, the Bears are not fully there yet. They're a bottom 10 run offense. And I think that's where we will see the Bears improve as the season progresses. And on the other side, Jayden Daniels has only played in 3 games due to that knee sprain he suffered back in week 2. And with Jayden Daniels under center, Washington is always going to have a chance to win any game. Terry McLaurin, he's dealing with that quad. There's all the likelihood that he misses this game as well. That's definitely a minus to this offense. I think JD will continue to lead this team, and that offense won't miss much of a beat. I'm going to lean with the Washington Commanders. That Bears defense, not really good this year. And with Bill coming off of a career game last week, there's every bit of an opportunity for that to carry over this week. Not to mention having a week underneath his belt. I think Jayden Daniels will play his best game of the year so far. And that will be necessary because I believe on the other side, Caleb Williams is going to play a really good game as well. And I believe this will be an excellent game where 2 of the young star quarterbacks in our league will have great performances. That's going to wrap up the video. If you made it to the end, much love as always. Make sure you leave a like, comment down below your predictions for this week, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one.